When President Bill Clinton was running, he talked about a middle-class tax cut. You know, it was the main topic of conversation before he took office.
Right.
When he went and had to do that State of the Union address, he had to talk about the budget deficit and what to do about the budget deficit. And we wound up with the largest hikes in U.S. history. How do we avoid history from repeating itself, particularly given where the economy is right now?
Well, look, the situation is a little bit different. I mean, back in 1991-92, the recession had already bottomed out and we were on an upward tick. I think we've got a much more serious problem now than we did then. It's not an insolvable one, but what we have to do, I think, is to continue to give consumers some confidence and help them transition with these extraordinary rising prices on the energy front, as well as food. So we're going to still need some stimulus, and that's why I think my plan is the right one. Deficit reduction is still important. Keep in mind that the reason we're in such a big hole and we don't have much of a cushion is because we've been spending $10 to $12 billion a month in Iraq. And it's important, I think, to bring that war to a close in a responsible, careful way. That will provide some relief. I will say, and I've always tried to be honest with this, 95% of Americans will see a tax cut under my tax plan. It is true that those like myself who are in the top 5%, we're going to see a tax increase. I'm going to roll back the Bush tax cuts back to the levels they were in the 1990s. And just remember that rich people were doing pretty good back then, too. But that will also help us relieve some pressure on the deficit.
Senator, I want to have a little fun with you, if you don't mind, because you like to have some fun. We do something on our show about word association.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm going to give you a couple of words,
right,
and then you just tell me what you're thinking about.
I will do my best.
Here we go. NAFTA.
Mixed bag.
Wall Street.
Money.
Sovereign wealth funds.
Caution.
Iran.
Threat.
ExxonMobil.
Profitable.
OPEC.
One word for OPEC, I would say, is we have to independence. The association I have there is we've got to free ourselves from dependence on OPEC.
Senator John McCain.
Honorable.
You know, there's a big event going on this evening, and it is the NBA draft. And your home team, the Chicago Bulls, have #1 draft pick. Who do they pick?
I think Derrick Rose is the man. I think he is Jason Kidd with a jump shot. I think he'll be a great point guard in the NBA. And he's from Chicago. So how can you resist the guy?
I mean, that sounds like a great plan.
Absolutely.
All right, next time we sit down, you know, I was a basketball player. I want to play basketball.
You've got game?
Yeah, I got game. I mean, listen, I'm a graduate of Columbia and I'm a basketball player. And
Did you play on the team?
I was thinking zone defense, man to man. We can go to the free throw line. See who does the best out of 10.
Let me see your nails, though.
Oh, they're horrible. A serious problem.
You're going to have to clip those before we get on the court.
Yeah, but next time it's a date.
Let's go.
Is that a deal?
It's a deal.
All right.
All right, we'll dissect more of that interview in just a moment when we come back with In the Pit. We'll be right back. Anyhow, just switching gears again, turning back to the summit, and Charles, I know you had. I know Charles Payne has something to tell me. Tell me, Charles.
He was very charming, Barack Obama, and you know, I got to tell you, the stars are aligning for him, not just on the political scene, but I think the way things are going. It's so ironic that during that summit, President Bush would announce that North Korea, that he's going to take them off the evil of access sanctions list or whatever. That sort of, takes a little bit of the criticism away from Barack Obama, saying he would, negotiate with Iran and others. So everything's lining up for him perfectly, and he's really handling it much better. And he's looking every day more and more presidential.
You know, he is. It's interesting. You know, one thing I was going to say to you guys is they had this summit beforehand, and all these executives participated. You know, the chairman of GM, Revolution Network, Steve Case, who was AOL. I mean, the list was a star-studded list of public and private members. And the big knock against Obama has been, we want more details. That he talks about change, but we want more specifics. One thing I can tell you is this summit was unbelievable. The 12 to 15 people, they talked about every subject matter affecting this country, and they had an open dialogue about it. And the one thing about him is he is one of the most well-prepared people that I've ever been in a room with. There's nothing I think that this guy isn't spending all this time reading and preparing and reading, dotting every I, crossing every T.
Well, that's part of success, right?
Yep.
Preparation equals success. But I also like, not only were your questions so poignant, which I appreciated, and I enjoyed the interview very much, but I also liked how frank he was. You mentioned about North Korea, right? That happened in the morning, those sanctions, and he actually said, straight out, I haven't had a chance to read through that.
Yes, he did.
And I appreciated that he was so honest like that, but he was talking about plutonium and, you know, all these things that he was pulling out of his brain.
Yeah.
Smart
Well,
guy.
yeah, no, he's definitely on top of it. And look, I mean, he's in a precarious situation, and particularly, what are the odds that I would go down there, Jenna, on a day where the market's collapsing?
Right. Well, yeah, I think, Alexis, what was he like in person, though? I mean, what was he like just behind the scenes?
He is unbelievably charismatic and charming. He walked into our room. There were probably about 15 of us, everyone from the cameramen to producers, assistants. He walked around. He shook every single person's hand in the room. He was not slightly intimidating. It was I thought he was going to be very intimidating. He wasn't. It was really interesting.
I wonder if the GM exec noticed that the stock was at a 53 or low.